Greetings everyone, this is Force Nature Top Tier Tips, and I welcome you to your prime spot for tips and tricks to help you level up at Dead or Alive 6. Look at that, the beautiful Zack Island in the background. But anyways, let's get right into it. Alright, so version 1.14 just dropped and it added the revival hot summer costumes, corrected various issues, and look at this, we got a special notice. The Dead or Alive 6 World Championship is going to be coming to its conclusion on Saturday, 23rd of October. Which looks like someone's gonna get fired because I'm pretty sure October just passed. Alright, so what they mean is November 23rd, which is in less than 2 weeks, and it's gonna be happening at 12:30 a.m. Pacific time. So if you're on the East Coast, that's like 3:30 a.m. in the morning. But yeah, check this out. This is gonna be a really awesome event. So we're gonna have players from the North America, Europe, and of course Asia are gonna be at this event. So like, check it out. It's gonna be awesome. Anyways, now let's just get into the final few character quick tip guides. Yes, we've finally gone through this journey. And of course, like always, this video is endorsed by Smart Esports and Shulcoin. Alright folks, let's get to it. Ryo Hayabusa. Hayabusa is the super ninja, of course, but he is a very advanced character that I highly don't recommend that you learn Dead or Alive 6 with, because quite frankly his neutral is very awkward and he's just simply a fairly complex character just in general. Hayabusa could technically fight comfortably at any range, like close, middle, long range, no problem. However, I generally don't recommend fighting in close range with Hayabusa, especially like from neutral or anything, because let's see, he's packing a 10 frame jab, a 13 frame elbow, a 14 frame 2P, and a 13 frame 14 frame 3K, 15 frame 6K. So in general, these strike speeds are actually not really very good for mixing up in close. I mean, but for Hayabusa's defense, having a 10 frame jab is really good if your character possesses a 4 frame neutral throw and a 6 frame punish throw. Do you know what makes that really awesome? Having a 4 frame T and a 6 frame 60. This means that if the opponent does something that's -5 on your block, you could go for a neutral throw attempt. So if they're not complete, they're only semi safe. If they do something that's -7 or worse, then they're not safe. You can actually guarantee throw punish -7 with Hayabusa. This applies to all grappler characters such as Tina, La Mariposa, and Bass, for instance. So that is really good. And the fact that Hayabusa is the only grappler character with a 10 frame jab is really good. But in general, just don't mix it up in close. I'm going to let you know right now, in close range, you're going to have to be patient, or you're going to have to be looking for crushing opportunities. So your crushes are going to be 2P, 1P. Those are your high crushes. This one right here is 4K. You can use this. And for kind of like an interrupt, or anytime you think the opponent's going to attack from disadvantage, just smack them with your... This is basically like your DP move. While we're on the topic of crushes, I'll just say right now, this is basically Hayabusa's best crush right now, is called as while standing 4K. So basically, this move right here. See right there? Well, if you just do just that move, at least it's a +2 lift stun, because this move has a tremendous amount of recovery frames, 52. But that's if you only do... while standing 4K right there. If this move ends up getting blocked, you leave yourself at -25. But naturally, to keep this room from being stupidly unsafe, the opponent has to end up respecting your while standing 4KP right here. At least you at -7, so that's semi-safe. So the opponent can only go for a neutral throw, unless you're fighting another grappler, of course. And you have another follow-up while standing 4KK. And as you see right here, both options are unsafe, and the opponent can try and can sidestep either of them. But the main thing about this, though, is, I mean, sometimes you just have to do this, but because this move is a crush, you're generally not looking to use this move when it's going to get blocked. You're going to be like using this move when it's basically... When you're going to use this move when it's basically going to hit, like that. So when you do hit, you end up getting your lift stun. And you see right there, it ends up getting a bound move, and let's say that move does bound. Let me try this again. And you can easily do something like 3PP afterwards, so that move is really good. Right, so I'll say right now, this is pretty much is a go-to high crush along with like 1P or the kind of the other stuff I showed you. If you want to go to low crush, you're going to be using 6K. 15 frame jump and move that can avoid lows. This move's really good. And you have this move right here, which ends up smacking the opponent down and ends up like just bouncing them on the ground. So this move is really good. So anytime you think your opponent's going to go for a low, hint, hint, low wake-up kick, then you can smack him with this move. If this move gets blocked, this leaves you at +9, so I mean, that is really generous. So anytime you think the opponent's gonna go for a low, I mean, the only thing the opponent can really do is that they have to try and hold the second hit. So sometimes you can just check out a forward K. So this is another move that's really good for you. And continue on with crushes in close range. If you just want a nice like, kind of a go-to move, you have 3PP. You see it's pretty delayable as 3 hits. Yes, if you stop it at any point, you'll leave yourself fairly negative, unless you just do 3P. The second hit is a track and high, so you can use this move. You can use this move as a tracking move, but the main thing about this move is the first move does crush a little bit. The second hit gives you a gigantic nosebleed stun even on normal hit, whereas the first hit, for instance, would on counter hit, it gives you a lift stun. It gives you pretty much the same kind of stun that was at like +33, so that's a monstrous amount. But see right here, you can right there, +33. You can delay it, it's pretty good, and you see the last hit can smack someone, so that's also a good move. Alright, if you'd like a go-to tracking move, alright, 1P is pretty good, but your go-to tracking move is going to be 4P. Right here, tracking mid. It has a fault that kind of like blasts the opponent back. You could do 4P 2K, or what, 2K? 4P 2P leaves you at a -4 normal hit. 4PK. So generally what you're going to do is just kind of like you could just do under most circumstances, you're going to do like 4P 2P, or 4PP right there. So like any of those are fine. Generally, you're not going to be mixing it up in close with Ryu unless you have some sort of advantage in opponent. Then you can kind of like just kind of like YOLO at them and like stuff like that, and they start like throwing stuff out. But generally, what you want to do with Ryu is try and control space if you can. Alright, a nice tool that's helpful is generally anything that goes into Ongyoing. Like I'll say, like, for instance, 4K can go into Ongyoing, but this isn't really like a space control tool. Your space control tool for going into the Ongyoing, or also known as the Nimpo stance, is like 7P right here. As you see right there, anytime Hayabusa goes, halt, you're in a Nimpo stance. In a Nimpo stance, you have a parry, press the guard button, and right there you can grab any mids, any highs, everything except 2P. So if Hayabusa is in Ongyoing stance, the opponent has to do 2P to stuff you. And you see right there, you have like different options right here. You have like a P. You have like 3P options. See, it's highly delayable. You have a kick option right. For instance, with the right, you have a teleport when you press back, but for the kick option, you see there it's a launcher. So if you were to do it after 4K, you can then launch in right after that. Right there, you have a pretty big offensive hold. Warning, it can be avoided with side walking, but as you see right there, when you do the 8 option, so either 8T or 8P, you end up jumping over the opponent. And of course, anytime you get an opportunity, or anytime when the opponent dares trying to hold you, hit him with the Izuna Drop. Bass. Bass is based straight up as the slowest character in the game. However, he is arguably the easiest to use of the heavyweight characters. So if you like to play a heavyweight character and you're like in the process of learning Dead or Alive 6, then I highly recommend Bass because he is quite frankly a pretty straightforward character. For instance, Bass can be played in relatively straightforward fashion, even something simple as just doing 6KP. Then 2T, then just do it again until the opponent kind of gets tired of doing it. But you see right here, a big objective with Bass is to get that 2T, the ground throw called a pickup. It leaves him at +13. With +13, you basically can do almost any follow-up, yes, even with someone as slow as Bass, and you're in control of the opponent. Alright, so I mean, yes, you could do 6KP. Like, alright, so this is a good way to set up the pickup. After you get the pickup, what you can follow up with is either like 4P, so do 4PP. It's pretty delayable, has multiple follow-ups. It has a mid punch or high ender. You can also do 6P. If this move ends up connecting on counter hit, you end up getting a stun. It's got a follow-up. You can knock the opponent away. You could go for a launcher, and when you end up launching the opponent, even just going for a simple air throw, and right there you can get pretty good damage if you connect on counter hit. So let's see. I'm just gonna continue with the pickup a little bit more right now. All right, so after down throw. All right, I showed you like 4P, 6P. You can also use 1P, or you can even just simply like do it again. But I will give you a warning: it is possible to hold the second hit. So what you do is, if the opponent's expecting something else, then you can do that. You can even just do a forward, like 6KK, and you end up with a low also. But generally, what you're trying to do is try and find ways to keep pressure. So, for instance, if you think the opponent's gonna either stand there or hold or something like that, then hit them with this. This is 60. It leaves you at plus 10. This is another reset throw. So basically, the ground pickup, or 60, or 6T right here. See at the wall, it causes a slump. It leaves you at plus 25. The opponent cannot do a wake-up kick, but in open space, you see right here, you're at plus 10, and then again, you could use 6P, 4P as you see is unfortunately a little too far away. You can use 6P. 1P is a really good low. So if you need a go-to low, I highly recommend 1P. It's really good whether it hits like tip range. Generally you want it to be in close so you get the trip stun, but it leaves yourself at plus 5. And generally one thing, with Bass, generally what you want to do is you end up doing resets, but if you want to go for damage, you can do that also. Basically, I'll say straight up, Bass's best throw is while standing 460. You could buffer it from any low, such as like a 2P. So, but that can also include 1P. Then just do 6-4T from while standing. And right here, that's 85 damage on normal throw. So let's see, just out of curiosity, how much is that on high counter? Ooh, I love the animation. 144. So basically, anytime you can end up setting up a crouched even with 3-3, try and sneak in that throw. Bass is not a fast character. He's possessing a 13-frame jab, a 15-frame 6B elbow, a 14-frame 6K knee, which is basically your go-to mid because it's the only mid that's like not horribly slow, and a 17-frame 2P. Yes, you saw that right. He has a 17-frame down jab that is -7 on block, and it's -5 on normal hit. The reason why it's -5 on normal hits is it has a follow-up to PP right there, which is the same as doing your health stab P plus K, which is your go-to high. So, but the thing about this is that this move is a high right here. So essentially, if the opponent gets hit by that, they can basically just 2P you or just crouch right away. So this is not a good low. Do you know what is a good low? 1P right here. So +5 when you just chuck it out. It has follow-ups, 1PP. You could go for a pickup attempt, although the opponent can tech up right away to avoid it. So it's not guaranteed like 6KP. So just be careful about that. You could just follow up with 6K instead of going for the down throw, which is also an option. Let's see. So there's 1PP and 1PP plus K, which is the same high as like 2PP or P plus K. So this option is not as good. But this is for if the opponent thinks you're going to go for the high. But of course, if the opponent is expecting, or if the opponent's expecting the mid. But if the opponent is expecting the mid and you kind of know that, then you can end up punishing them dearly with this throw right here, 6-4T. And you just completely destroyed your health bar on high counter, for instance. So yeah, 1P, really good low. Alright, so if you're at a lot of frame advantage after like this, or after a pickup, so after 6T or a pickup, you could try and sneak in an offensive hold. 6-6T is your go-to offensive hold. Leaves you at, let's see, so it's 16 frames. I mean, it does 42 damage. At 16 frames, it's unreactable, so it's really good. Really good offensive hold. And of course, being an offensive hold in OH, it beats out the onset of strikes, so you can basically just kind of like chuck this thing out. But while we're on the topic of offensive holds, you can also use half circle forward T. Alright, I just charged it right there. You get 80 damage if you don't do a follow-up, so that's a tremendous amount of damage. You're going to do this when you have advantage or maybe on the opponent's wake-up. Right here, if you don't charge it at all, it's pretty much almost the same as doing this. It's pretty fast. It does around the same damage, 45, 42. If you do charge up the throw, then you have like a follow-up opportunity. You see right here, you can go for a launcher attempt, or you can go for the full damage and get 95 damage with that awesome muscle buster move. So yeah, half circle forward is a good offensive hold, although it is slow, and be careful not to telegraph it too much, but it does also have pretty good range, which is also really nice. But even if you don't go for the fall, look at that. I mean, 80 damage is still nothing to snuff at. If you'd like a move that you can just basically chuck out at an opponent's block whenever you get an opportunity or have some advantage over your opponent or anything like that, Bass's 6-6K is a good move. This loses Bass back turn, so it sets up his back turn offensive hold pretty easily. So right here, you leave yourself at plus 15 plus back turn. So after you end up hitting this move, you can easily set up a back turn pickup, or you can do it again and just kind of loop the opponent a bit. And anytime you're feeling cheeky, just sneak in the run and throw. Bayman. Bayman's an intermediate to advanced level character that is not necessarily particularly difficult in terms of like performing any like techniques or anything, but it's just that with the way how his gameplay works, he may be a little not really very advised for learning Dead or Alive 6 with, because his gameplay in general can feel a little awkward. Bayman is a heavyweight character, so naturally he is pretty slow. So for instance, he has a 11 frame jab, a 14 frame 6P, 13 frame 3P. This will be your go-to mid because it's 13 frames. It's pretty good when it does connect. Causes a lift stun on counter hit, so I prefer 3P over 6P. And your 2P is 16 frames. Although, look at that. It's +1 on normal hit, but yeah, it's 16 frames. So all that means is that your jab would be 10 frames, your 3P would be 12 frames, but then yeah, still pretty damn slow. But to complement also 3P, Bayman also has a really good mid punch from full crouch. So full crouch 3P. See, this move right here is really good. It's lift stun on normal hit, launcher on counter hit, or during stun. So this move, I'll just let you know right now, this move is really good. I'm just gonna say this right now. Bayman's neutral game is not very good. Like, during the neutral game, generally what you want to do is try and get in... Generally, you want to get in close, but you don't necessarily want to be up in your opponent's grill. So generally, like most kind of grappler or heavyweight characters, you want to be hanging out around the edge of, like, close range to mid-range, so like kind of around here, so around like 3K range. The main reason why is if you're in close, then fast characters are going to try and smother you. So if you're dealing with a fast character, you're going to have no choice but to block. So in Bayman's case, what you're going to end up trying to do while you're on the defensive is, well, aside from blocking, is he has these kind of moves here called tank wheels, also known as tank rolls. It's like up people's K or down people's K. This move will avoid all kind of like linear strikes. So any move that's not labeled tracking, this move will beat out. And to top it off, it's a high crushing move, so it goes under highs. It rolls under highs. The thing about this move is it basically only has one move out of it. After you do a roll, press the throw button. Then here you get a two-part throw where if you press the throw button again, then you end up doing a ground throw on your opponent. Like so. If you don't press it, then the opponent just escapes. But because you only can do a throw out of this, the opponent can actually beat this out, or it can option select you by just doing a low throw. A low throw will beat the roll, and it will end up beating the takedown into the STF. So yeah, so you have to use this move basically when you know you're going to end up, the opponent's going to do something linear, or if they're going to do like a predictable high. But under most circumstances, you can throw this out relatively freely if you know what the opponent's response is going to be. Because yes, a big thing with Bayman is you're going to have to kind of be able to get a good read on what your opponent's trying to do. Alright, I can give you like a little also tip with this, or any kind of move that leaves you in full crouch. Sometimes what you can do is forego going for the throw and just use the crouch position to set up this. Same with like forward roll, for instance. See, forward roll has like different options out of it. Right here, and it even has its own throw, which can lead into a ground throw if you press the throw again. And same thing, press the down throw after this. So, with pertaining to rolls or anything that leaves you in full crouch, remember how I said this move was good? Anytime you're in full crouch, you're basically trying to set up trying to set up this move, full crouch 3P. So that's it is basically a good move. Here, I can even show you like a small kind of sample option select for instance. So let's say if you were to use something like 4P, which is also one of your go-to tracking moves. So let's say you hit the opponent with like 4PK. You see right there that if for instance a low throw was to whiff, then just simply do, while you're in crouch position, just hold down 3P, then you can set up that lift stun, so you get like almost like a little bit of an option select. If the opponent is expecting that move, then just stand up and just do one of Bayman's offensive holds instead to be able to beat out their strike retaliation. Talking about offensive holds, Bayman has some of the best offensive holds in the game. He has a bunch of them. For instance, his forward throw. This will usually be your go-to standard 16 frame offensive hold. Note that it's just 6T, so forward throw. It's not forward throw. That's because forward throw is another offensive hold. It's almost the same thing, but it like switches sides and does a little more damage. It's 3 frames slower. So a note, if you want a 7 frame punish throw, use 4T. Right there. And if you want your big boy damage throw, it's half circle forward throw. But generally, the rest of the throws are mostly going to be offensive holds. So there's 6T, 6T, and if you... Let's say if you're around, again, like around the tip of like mid-close range and you have a little bit of advantage, or you kind of know have an idea what the opponent's going to do, then you could try and sneak in quarter circle back T. And this is going to be your big offensive hold. It's a 3-part throw where you do back throw, then down throw, and now you get this huge damage when you connect all 3 parts. A couple other offensive holds that you can utilize into your gameplay is something like 3-3T. This one's a jumping, crouching offensive hold with a follow-up. This down throw. And Bayman also has a run-in offensive hold, just run-in T. It's a run-in, jump-in offensive hold. Looks almost just like 3-3T. Although in general, like Bayman's neutral game, like I stated earlier, is not really that good. You might, during neutral, what you're generally going to be doing is maybe just trying to poke with like jabs, for instance. Like, I mean, you can also poke with 3K, but in general, Bayman's like neutral game is just not really that good. Although a nice tool you can use around mid-range is his 4P plus K. See right here, it causes a plus 31 lift stun. It's a 22 frame move. It does high crush a little bit, so this is just like a really nice move to set up a pretty big stun. So this move is nice. It is unsafe on block if there's any kind of weakness with it, and of course 22 frames isn't necessarily the fastest, but if you can like space this well, then this is a pretty nice move to implement into your game plan. In close range, anytime you kind of get an opportunity, if the opponent like leaves in negative, or if you have enough frames, or if you know the opponent's gonna be defensive, sneak in this move. This is 6P plus K, so it's a plus 9 guard break. So after plus 9, you're in control. You can try and sneak in an offensive hold. You can poke with 6PP, 3PP. Let's see, after this, you can also use like 3K into like a roll, or just simply just poke with 3K. If you think the opponent's gonna push a button, also you can try and smack him with full crouch 3P. So yeah, this is a really good guard break. You can also get this out of the roll by doing 3P plus K, P plus K. And I already showed you earlier that there's a throw out of there that like would be able to guarantee you throws. So yeah, it's a nice tool. You kind of have to get a little creative with what you have with Bayman. He also has a couple parries to help you on the defense. There's 3H catches all mids, and 9H catches all highs. But high holds also catch all highs, so I don't really like high parries. But your mid parry will definitely help you out in trying to control your opponent.
Raidou.
Raidou is a very advanced character that is highly not advised to use if you're in the process of learning Dead Eye 6, and honestly I just recommend it to people that really like a lot of pain on the execution side of things. Basically, you're going to have to be able to do this move pretty freely in order to kind of excel with Raidou. This move right here, this is his electric. This is a 623P, or just forward quarter circle P. This is a really pain in the ass just frame move to do, so if you have trouble doing this regularly, then it's going to be a little harder to excel with this character. Although, I mean, there are kind of ways around it, but then it's like you just generally are probably going to need to have to learn the move at some point in order to maximize potential with them. For instance, it's still possible to get good damage off of something like his really good bound move, 3-3KP. Like, you can do this, Then do the close hit ender with quarter circle P, and quarter circle forward P, and you can still get like okay damage with it, but generally I find that if you're not like trying to maximize damage with Raidou, then you're probably just gonna end up just struggling with him because his movement is the weakest in the game. Like his movement is not really very good, and his neutral game also is not really that good either. His strike speeds are okay and he's actually one of the, I think he is pretty much the fastest heavyweight. Like he has an 11 frame jab, I know, which is standard, a 13 frame elbow, but this is something that none of the other heavyweight characters, or I don't think any of the other grapplers really have, is a 13 frame 2P. So this is like, I'll say right now, these are perfectly like respectable like strike speeds. Like he has a 14 frame, he's a 14 frame 6K, 15 frame 3K. So I mean, these are like pretty good speeds. Like his jab is fine right here. If you do PPK, you end up leaving yourself unsafe on block. Would be nice if that was advantage, but that's still okay. See right here, you have 4 hits to your PPP, so you can just stop at PPP, or charge the last hit, and you can like leave yourself at +4. I know that can be a bit telegraphed, but those are some options that you can end up using. Sorry, so if you want a good track and punch, you have 4P right here. There's 4PP, it leaves you negative, and 4PK leaves you at -4. So this right here will be your safe ender. It is a negative guard break, so it can probably throw some people off. And you could try and sneak in his 17 frame 660 offensive hold. So a big thing with Raidou is he's basically the kind of person, though I admit that when you do hit the opponent, or when you do go on the pressure, you have to try to go on it, because you do want to try and avoid the neutral game. Even if you do have a bit of a gimmicky move to, just for the opponent to have to pay attention to, is his 1P plus K. I'll say right now, this move is gimmicky, but anytime you're at range, the opponent they do have to take note that you can do this. It's similar to like Neo Tengu's wind attack, or 4P plus K, but with Raidou's 1P plus K, as you see right there, it is a positive guard break if it gets blocked, and of course when it hits the opponent, it blasts them away. This move, if you are going to be using it, is mostly going to be used as kind of like maybe a meaty after like a knockdown. But anytime you're at range, the opponent does have to pay attention to it. Continuing on in close range, Raidou's 6P is good. So right there, if you just do 6P, you'll leave yourself at -10. So again, this is a 13 frame elbow, which is really good for a heavyweight character. But the 2 follow-ups, like 6PK. So right here is a good tracker move. It's basically just like Hayate's 6PK. Leaves you at -7 on blocks, so that's semi-safe. So that means the opponent can't get guaranteed throw punishment against you unless they're a grappler with 6 frame punish throw. So this is a good tracking move. But the thing that's different with Raidou compared to most characters is the 6PP. Right here, it's a negative guard break, it's -3. Most characters 6PP, like Hayate or like Momoji or like Ayane, basically almost any character, most characters 6PP, if it's mid will be unsafe, but Raidou's is just -3 on block, so both of these enders are safe, which is pretty handy. So you can basically kind of just like chuck these moves out a little more freely than other characters. It's still highly delayable too, which is good. Alright, so those are some good mids. Of course, he has the 3KP, which is also a good move, which is also a nice poke during the neutral game. So 3KP is nice. If you want to go too low, 1P is pretty good. It's basically very similar to Bass's, although note that the first hit is actually negative on hit compared to Bass's, which is like, well, as you saw, was +5. The main reason why is because there's 2 hits. You could do 1PP, where the second hit is a tracking mid punch and knocks the opponent down. But something that Bass doesn't have is Raidou has a 1P, 2P. So he has a double low right here, leaves you at +6. So if you want the frame advantage, you have to do the double low. And if you want the knockdown, you do the mid. So right here you have a built-in mix-up off this move. Being the heavyweight character that Raidou is, he does have powerful throws. For instance, his 10 frame throw 3-3T is basically very similar to Kasumi's own 3-3T, and it gives him 65 damage. So right there, it's a pretty good throw. Like Raidou has a bunch of offensive holds. Your go-to offensive hold will generally be just 6-6T. So the thing about moves like 6-6T and 3-3T is that they're pretty easy to execute. But the thing with Raidou, and right here, I'm just going to show you some of his throw inputs right now, if you see right there, like 3-3T, like not that bad. But really, when you go beyond that, that throw you see below there is his underworld drop right here. So quarter circle forward T, 4-6T, then 2-1-4T, half circle up T, then full circle back T. Like that throw is kind of like painful to do. And you see a bit lower there, he has a really weird 6-1-2-3-4T and offensive hold you see below there where it says OH. Take note, that is not a half circle forward. It's forward, then quarter circle back, then forward, back. All right, for when you're around, kind of around like mid-close range, so around the same range where you'd be implementing Bayman's DDT slower offensive hold, that's the range that you'd be implementing Raidou's slower 6-1-2-3-4T offensive hold. And now it's a combo hold. You can press T for just the easy follow-up, or if you do quarter circle forward T, then you can get the stronger, well, environmental damage follow-up. Like so, and you can blast the opponent into the environment and get pretty good damage. And now for the underworld drop. Alright, after you do the 2-3-6T, 4-6T, 2-1-4T, once you get to the second part of this combo throw, it's the half circle up back part T. This loops directly into the two full circle back throws in the third part. So think of it of doing 3 counterclockwise rotations. Raidou also has an air throw that uses the same obnoxious 6-1-2-3-4 input as the offensive hold. Alright folks, that's it for part 6 of the Character Quick Tips Guide. I just want to thank you guys, all of you, for joining me on this journey throughout the whole cast of Dead or Alive 6. But I also want to thank Smart Esports and Trollcoin for endorsing these videos. But yeah, if you have any further questions, feel free to contact me on my YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch, so that means leaving a very enlightening comment down below. You can also contact Force Nature on freestepdodge.com. And be sure to check out my full character guides for Dead or Alive 5, Dead or Alive 6, and also check out my top tier tips, advanced and beginner guides to get a nice little overview at this beautiful game that is Dead or Alive 6. And if you'd like to support the channel, feel free to join Top Tier Fighters to support this help, and I do appreciate it. Anyways, this is Force Nature signing off. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you next time on Top Tier Tips. We're not done yet, folks. Let me introduce you to the Fiend Hunter, Rachel. Rachel is a beastly, beginner-friendly heavyweight character for players that just like to play and dominate their opponents. For instance, she has an awesome 12-frame half-circle forward throw that allows her to play basketball with their opponent. And sets up pretty easy combos. And then you can stomp on them with forward kick. In close range with Rachel, I just want you to work her jab streaks. Like for instance, even something as simple as like just doing PP on the opponent's block. So her jab is 11 frames and it's -1 on block, 0 on if it were to hit on normal hit. But the main thing about this jabs is you can do stuff like PP. Right here, PPP leaves you at -1, or you can do PP 2K right there. So you have a sneaky low, which ends up giving you frame advantage when it connects. Or you can go for her PP throw right here. You see, if this connects on counter hit, it leaves you at +11. So with +11, you get a free juggle opportunity. I love stomping on the opponents. From neutral, you're either going to be using 6-6K to get +1, or you're going to end up using Run-In P, which is the same as like 2-3-6P or PPP. See, these moves right here are fine for getting in, well, basically getting on your opponent, because this one will generally be your go-to because it is advantage, and with like +1, there's also even stuff like PPK if you want like a good tracking move. So a lot of stuff out of the jab strings. Her 6P is also really good. Like you can either do 6PP or 6PKK. 6PK, 6P, or even just poke with 6P, 6 PK. So you're safe if it's blocked. And you get frame advantage when it hits. So yeah, again. 11 frame jab, good. 13 frame elbow, also good. 14 frame 2P, that's +1 on hits. So this is like really good. Your go-to tracker move will be 4 PP. Really good move. +23 stun on normal hit. Has numerous follow-ups. Like 4 PP 2P or 4 PP PP. Right there, so that's a good tracking move. Of course, offensive holds track, so 6XT is really good. This move is basically just like PP offensive hold, so it's pretty much the same move. And if you want a low tracking move, you got 1P. It's a really good move. Alright, it's 18 frames and it's -5 on normal hit, but when you connect this move, it does have a follow-up that lets you play basketball. Stompy stompy. Alright guys, this is it for real. See you next time on Top Tier Tips.